A photograph. A young girl standing alone by the side of the road. The dim, blurred glow of car headlights. Her long hair falling over her shoulders. A white shirt glowing against the darkness. No one knows what happened after that moment. All we know is that was the last time anyone saw her alive. Her name was Debani Escobar, 18 years old. She had just left a party that night and then vanished. The strange photo appeared on Instagram with a short, cryptic caption. Yes, it's true. The image spread like wildfire, igniting panic and suspicion across Mexico. Who took the picture? Why was she standing alone on Highway 85, a stretch of road locals call the Highway of Death? And what really happened after she got into that car? With a taxi driver she didn't know? This wasn't just a disappearance. It was a tragedy born from neglect, a failing system, and a country outraged by how many girls have never come home. Today, we go back, piece by piece, clue by clue, to uncover what really took the life of Debani Escobar. Debani Escobar was an 18-year-old law student attending the Autonomous University of Nuevo Leon. She had a boyfriend and was very close to her parents, Mario Escobar and Dolores Basaldua, both of whom worked in education. Debani had been adopted when she was just 1 year old and was raised in a loving, tight-knit family. On the night of April 8, 2022, she left home to attend a party with friends. No one could have imagined it would be the last time they saw her alive. By 8 a.m. the next morning, after unsuccessfully trying to contact the friends Debani had gone out with, her father, Mario, immediately reported her missing to the police. The last known sighting of Debani was of her standing alone on the highway that connects Monterrey and Nuevo Laredo, a stretch of road ominously nicknamed the Highway of Death. The disappearance of Debani quickly went viral on social media. But as public attention grew, the family found themselves plunged into a new nightmare: extortion calls. Strangers claimed to know where Debani was and demanded money in exchange for information. Each call only deepened the pain and despair of a family desperately waiting for their daughter to come home. Debani had left for the party with two girls, Sarah, someone she had met online about 3 months earlier, and Ivan, whom she was meeting for the first time that night. At around 11:30 p.m., the trio met up on Avenida Scenes in the San Nicolas area. A rideshare driver picked them up and took them to a convenience store where they bought vodka and a few other items, confirming that Debani had been drinking that night. Initially, they planned to attend a party in central San Nicolas, but by the time they arrived, the event had already ended. So they redirected to another gathering, this one at a rental home in Colonia Nueva Castilla, in the town of Escobedo. They ordered a ride through the Didi Appa rideshare service, similar to Uber, at 12:49 a.m. The car arrived around 1 a.m., but when they got to the location, they discovered that the party they were looking for had already ended. Not giving up, around 1:10 a.m., they found another party at Quinta El Diamante, also on Monica Street. Although they didn't know anyone there, they were allowed in. Around 1:30 a.m., Debani left the party after getting into an argument with a few guests who claimed she had drunk too much. Surveillance footage captured her stepping out through the entrance, but then returning shortly after. By 3:45 a.m., another camera recorded the moment Debani ran out of the house. She was being chased by a young man who appeared to be trying to stop her from leaving. In an attempt to resist, Debani struck him and kept running, but he blocked her path, leading to a physical confrontation. Things escalated quickly as more people got involved, including Sarai and another young man. Some witnesses said Debani even bit those who tried to restrain her. Between 3:29 and 3:36 a.m., Ivan, one of Debani's two friends, texted Juan David, also known by his nickname, Who, asking him to come pick Debani up. So who brought them to the party in the first place? It turns out it was the same rideshare driver who had originally dropped them off. He was called back because Debani appeared to be acting out of control. At 3:54 a.m., David arrived to pick her up. Debani quickly got into the car, looking tired and visibly upset. Throughout the ride, she seemed sad and kept talking to someone over the phone. The driver noted that she was difficult to manage and even tried to return to the party. Through text, David realized he had entered the wrong home address for Debani, so he asked her friends to send the correct one. At 4:17 a.m., another security camera captured what appeared to be a heated exchange inside the car between Debani and David. In the surveillance footage from inside the car, Debani appears visibly upset and unstable. At one point, the driver, Juan David Suarez's arm, can be seen briefly reaching near her chest. Her father, Mario Escobar, believes David may have made an inappropriate move, one that frightened Debani enough to make her get out of the vehicle shortly after. At this point, all suspicions began to fall on David, known by his nickname, Who. As the last person known to have seen Debani alive, he quickly became the main suspect in the eyes of both the family and the public. Juan David Suarez, 47, was the rideshare driver who picked Debani up in the early hours of April 9, 2022. He's also the one who took the now infamous final photo of Debani standing alone by the desolate highway. Records show Suarez had previously been arrested for drug-related offenses. Some reports claimed he had been investigated for harassment and attempted kidnapping of women. Despite growing suspicion, authorities have not found enough evidence to charge David. He has been summoned for questioning multiple times, and his car was thoroughly searched, but no clear evidence has been found linking him to Debani's disappearance. The two friends who were with Debani that night, Sarai and Ivan, were also once considered suspects. They faced harsh criticism from Debani's father for leaving her alone in the middle of the night, instead of making sure she got home safely. However, their statements matched surveillance footage and WhatsApp messages, showing no criminal involvement. In interviews, both girls stated that Debani was acting erratically and somewhat disrespectfully that night, even though they believed she had only consumed a small amount of alcohol. At one point, she reportedly locked herself in the men's bathroom and even tried to jump into the swimming pool. Worried for her safety, they contacted David the driver, whose number they had saved earlier that evening, to ask him to take Debani home. But just a few hours later, she had vanished, and the biggest question remained unanswered. What really happened inside that car? Debani's friends eventually left in a separate vehicle after she refused to go with him and insisted on returning home alone. Around 3:59 a.m., they were still trying to reach her father, Mario Escobar, making multiple calls but received no answer. As news of Debani's disappearance spread, her two friends faced intense public backlash, including death threats and false accusations that they were responsible for her death. On April 10, 2022, Mario Dres Balderas Rodriguez, head of the local Commission for Missing Persons in Nuevo Leon, launched an emergency task force to search for Debani. That same day, her family organized a large-scale search operation, calling on friends, relatives, and local residents near the area where she was last seen to join in. 9 days later, on April 18th, newly released CCTV footage shed more light on Debani's final moments. Based on witness statements and the driver's account, police began piecing together the chain of events from that fateful night. Just minutes after Debani got into the car, David the driver texted her friends, saying that things aren't going well, suggesting that Debani was acting erratically and he wasn't sure how to handle the situation. The driver began to worry that he might get into trouble, so much so that he even asked for Debani's mother's phone number, a strange request at the time. One of her friends urgently begged him to take Debani home, but none of them could provide her mother's number. They simply didn't know it. At 4:25 a.m., Ibanhi exited the Kia near the Nueva Castilla neighborhood, approximately 15.5 kilometers from the Villa Nuevo Laredo highway. Just 1 minute later, at 4:26 a.m., the driver Juan David Cooler Suarez took a photo of Debani standing alone on the side of the road and sent it to her friends. Their reaction was cold. "Thanks, but we don't know what to do," they replied, again stating that Debani had become too aggressive, having hit and bitten them earlier that night. Text messages between Suarez and the group of friends revealed a troubling detail. He had been drinking while working. Despite their attempts, they still couldn't reach Debani's parents. The driver said he offered her a phone charger at 4:17 a.m., but she refused, reportedly saying she didn't care anymore. At this moment, Debani's father began to suspect that Suarez may have inappropriately touched her, an act he believes was partially caught on surveillance footage. Suarez later messaged that Debani had gotten out of the car and refused to get back in. He claimed she was crying and begging to be let out, so he allowed her to walk away into the darkness. When one friend suggested calling the police, Suarez declined, saying he had to continue working, and by the time he returned, Debani was gone. He described Debani as appearing not okay, rambling, acting erratically, and even threatening to accuse him, saying her parents were lawyers and could have him arrested. At 4:29 a.m., security footage from the Alcosa Transport Company captured Debani walking along the median, then crossing the road, the last time she was ever seen alive. Surveillance footage shows the final moments of Debani Escobar. She walks up to the guard post at the Alcosa Transport facility, looks inside, but doesn't go in or ask for help. The investigation entered a new phase after this footage was released on April 19th. Authorities immediately launched a full-scale search of the company grounds, reviewing more camera footage, inspecting vehicles, and scouring the area, but found no significant leads. Next, the police shifted focus to a residential complex in Condo Constitution, located approximately 22 kilometers from where Debani was last seen. Her phone had pinged there briefly 2 days before her disappearance. Yet again, zero results. GPS data later pointed investigators to the Nueva Castilla motel, near the location where she exited the vehicle. Phone and location data confirmed Debani's presence in the vicinity just before she vanished. Meanwhile, Debani's father, Mario Escobar, refused to wait. With volunteers, he combed the Monterrey Nuevo Laredo Highway, aka the Highway of Death, a notoriously dangerous stretch where over 100 people had disappeared just since 2021. They searched wells, vacant lots, and dry riverbeds. Flyers were posted everywhere in hopes of finding a clue. But Debani remained missing. Instead, the search accidentally uncovered something far more horrifying. 5 female bodies were found. Their identities were later confirmed as Ireland, Ingrid, Riza, Jennifer, and Irma. Each of them had gone missing between April 15th and 19th. Some of the victims were as young as 14 years old. The discovery shocked the public. Many were outraged, claiming that authorities only acted once the case gained media attention. A wave of criticism swept across social media, where people condemned the government's slow response and accused officials of acting only under public pressure. Barros Sanchez, the brother of another missing girl, once wrote, "When there's pressure, the state acts. If your loved one disappears, you have to take to the streets, speak up, and do whatever it takes." On April 21st, after 13 days of being missing, a body was found inside an abandoned water tank at the Nueva Castilla motel, just a 1-minute walk from where Debani was last seen. The announcement came late at night from the Nuevo Leon Attorney General's office. A hotel employee had reported a foul odor coming from an abandoned cistern that hadn't been used in 6 years. Police quickly sealed off the scene. A dive team was dispatched and recovered a female, body wearing a white blouse and black skirt matching the exact outfit Debani wore the night she disappeared. Her father confirmed her identity through the cross necklace she always wore. Authorities believe the body had been underwater for nearly 2 weeks. Immediately, a critical question emerged. How did search teams who had scoured the area at least 4 times, using sniffer dogs and drones, fail to locate a body so close to the original search point? More suspicions arose when forensic experts noted that the body was not as decomposed as expected, despite temperatures in Nuevo Leon ranging from 95 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, P-40 degrees Celsius. During that period, this fueled speculation that Debani might not have died on the night she disappeared, but days later, and that her body may have been moved and dumped in the tank afterward. Shockingly, the Nueva Castilla Motel had been one of the first locations searched. Yet, despite so-called thorough inspections, nothing was found. When police later asked to review security footage, hotel staff claimed the cameras only streamed live and did not record further, fueling public distrust. People began to demand answers. How could a body sit there for nearly 2 weeks without anyone noticing? Why didn't any hotel staff report anything suspicious during that time? Did anyone see Debani or anyone else entering that night? How is it possible that no one saw anything at a property that had round-the-clock security? After the body was recovered, it was taken to the morgue, and the first of 3 autopsies was conducted on April 22nd. The initial report from Nuevo Leon authorities concluded that Debani died from a blunt force head injury that caused a fatal cranial trauma. Officials suggested she might have accidentally fallen into the 12-ton water tank located near the motel's pool after somehow climbing over a 7-foot, 2.2-meter wall lined with barbed wire. But that theory was quickly met with skepticism. The first autopsy revealed no water in Debani's lungs, a detail inconsistent with drowning. This strongly suggested she may have already been dead before she was thrown into the tank. Although the official cause of death remained cranial trauma from a fall, the absence of drowning evidence made the accident theory increasingly difficult to accept. To make matters even stranger, Debani's personal belongings, including her phone and handbag, were found in different areas of the motel property. This raised a new wave of questions. Why were her belongings scattered? Who moved them, and when? Faced with growing contradictions, Debani's father funded and requested a second independent autopsy. He firmly rejected the theory that his daughter had accidentally climbed over a tall wall lined with barbed wire, something he believed was simply impossible. Even investigators began to express doubts. According to them, the only logical entrance to the motel was through the main gate, which was open 24/7 and located next to an abandoned eatery, El Restaurant Alcosa, which had been closed for years. That area was near the water tank where Debani's body was eventually found. From that point on, the investigation spiraled into chaos. Conflicting autopsy results, inconsistent witness statements, and delayed evidence all contributed to the deepening mystery surrounding Debani's death. Every new piece of information seemed to raise more questions than answers, fueling public frustration and outrage. On April 23rd, 15 days after Debani disappeared and 2 days after her body was found, Motel Nueva Castilla unexpectedly handed over 3 CCTV video clips taken from 2 different areas on the property. This came as a shock, because earlier, the motel had explicitly claimed that their cameras only streamed live footage and did not record. So why were there now recordings? Why were they only turning them over now? What had they been hiding, and why? It remained unclear whether the delay came from the motel's side, or if the prosecutors failed to request the footage at the right time. But one thing was certain: suspicion exploded across social media. One of the videos, recorded at 4:33 a.m., showed Debani near the abandoned restaurant, seemingly running, either in panic or trying to hide. 2 minutes later, at 4:35 a.m., another camera captured her crossing the motel's toll booth area. She was alone in both clips, and experts later found that the system's DVR clock was off by 2 minutes. The last confirmed sighting of Debani was at 4:56 a.m. as she walked toward the area where the water tanks were located, right next to the long-abandoned restaurant. She was seen wandering, almost as if she were lost, disoriented, or feeling unsafe. After that moment, no more footage, no more physical evidence. The area where her body was found was enclosed by a 2.6-meter, 8.5 feet wall topped with barbed wire. There was no exit to the street and no vehicle access. A second wall, 2.2 meters, 7.2 feet high, separated the storage tanks from one another. From the last spot where Debani was seen to the tank where her body was eventually discovered, the distance was roughly 12 meters, passing 3 tanks, 2 of which had been missed during the initial searches. Why did she enter this isolated area alone? Why was no one with her? Was Debani running from someone, or trying to hide from something? And why did she keep circling the abandoned restaurant, as if someone was watching her? None of these questions have been answered. At 4:36 a.m., a security camera captured Debani peering into the abandoned restaurant. It remains unclear whether she ever entered the reception area of the motel. No footage from that spot has ever been released. The camera continued to track her from a distance until around 4:56 a.m., when the final image showed her disappearing near an empty lot, right next to the water tank area. How did she manage to reach the back garden without passing through the main building? Why was she wandering alone in such a secluded area? Authorities have never offered a clear explanation. Even more suspicious, no footage was ever released from key areas like the reception desk, even though the motel claimed the staff member was on duty that night. This fueled a disturbing theory that some surveillance videos may have been altered, deleted, or withheld in the critical window between Debani's disappearance and the discovery of her body. 2 weeks later, in the Constitution apartment complex, residents made a chilling discovery: Debani's official ID card to 22 kilometers away from where she vanished. That discovery raised a whole new set of questions. Why was her ID card there? Who put it there, and why? At the same time, police reviewed older surveillance footage and discovered a mysterious man entering a vehicle shortly after Debani was last seen. However, there was no clear evidence connecting this man to the case, and no explanation for why Debani's ID card was found miles away. On April 25, 2022, Debani's father formally requested an independent autopsy. The results were released on May 12th, and they were shocking. Debani had been murdered. She had been sexually assaulted and suffered multiple blows to the head. The report ruled out drowning, confirming she was already dead before being placed in the water tank. It also documented signs of sexual violence, including bruising in the genital area. Due to the discrepancy with the initial autopsy, her body was exhumed for a second time. A third autopsy was conducted at a forensic facility in Mexico City on July 19, 2022. But this time, the conclusion was entirely different. Debani died from asphyxiation. No signs of sexual assault were found. 3 autopsies, 3 different conclusions. The story kept changing direction, fueling outrage and public fury at the way authorities were handling the case. As of 2024, the murder of Debani Escobar remains unsolved. Mexico is still grappling with suspicion, outrage, and a series of investigative failures. The entire nation was shaken by the revelation that her body was found in a water tank at the Nueva Castilla Motel, a location that had already been searched multiple times. How could her body go undetected for 13 days? Why did authorities initially claim there were no cameras, only to later release hours of surveillance footage? These contradictions have led the public to suspect something far more sinister. This may not just be incompetence. It may be a deliberate cover-up. In January 2023, two employees of the Nueva Castilla Motel, Ana Luisa N. and Alita Yarethan, were formally charged with providing false information and obstructing the investigation. The development only deepened the chaos surrounding Debani's case and fueled intense public outrage. But it didn't stop there. Just months after Debani's death, a human skeleton was discovered near the motel, prompting locals and the media to brand it with a chilling nickname, the Motel of Death. Although surveillance footage had shown Debani entering the premises alone, the circumstances of her death remain a mystery. Later investigations revealed that the motel had a dark and shady history, far from the safe place it appeared to be. Despite public anger and her family's relentless pursuit of justice, many haunting questions remain unanswered. Who killed Debani? Where was she during the 13 days she was missing? Why did the driver abandon her on the so-called Highway of Death? Were motel employees involved in her death? The case drew chilling parallels to the mysterious death of Eliza Lamb at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, where another young woman was found dead under bizarre circumstances inside the hotel itself. Both cases sparked shock, controversy, and a deep public obsession. Debani Escobar, an 18-year-old girl who once marched to protest gender violence, ultimately became a victim of the very system she tried to fight. Her father, Mario Escobar, once said Debani didn't protest for herself. She protested to help others. But the tragic irony remains. She became a dark symbol of the relentless violence against women in Mexico. A painful reminder that in this country, speaking out can sometimes mean paying the ultimate price. Debani Escobar is gone, but the questions remain. Until justice is served, she will not just be remembered as a victim, but as a voice that cannot be silenced. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got many more cases you won't want to miss.